It's time to get educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. This is the Dr. Duke Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. We do have one of those great programs for you today, so please, as usual, hit that share button and let's get educated. All right, a quick shout out to Freedom Project Academy. That's our Judeo-Christian classic online school for kids in kindergarten all the way through high school. We give diplomas, we give grades. Our kids are getting into good colleges. We officially open for fall enrollment next week, Tuesday, April 12th. We'll be talking a lot about FPA over the coming months, but if you're interested in a quality classical education rooted in Judeo-Christian values, no COVID masks, no sexuality education, just good old-fashioned education, please request a free information packet at freedomforschool.com. That's freedomforschool.com. Okay, today we start with the woke mouse, Walt Disney, and all of his many properties. Children's Entertainment has revealed that they are going all in on the movies, characters, and theme parks that are queer to force LGBTQ agenda on millions and millions of children across the United States. This is far more than just a reaction to Governor DeSantis and his common sense program about not sexualizing any kids anyway. That includes heterosexually from 3 to 6 or 7 or 8. Just keep it out, doesn't belong. And he's exactly right about this. But of course, the progressive left, and I've made this point many, many times, why is it the woke left, when they think about gay and transgender kids, they cannot see those kids any other way than physically sexual? Why is it that when we teach homosexuality or we introduce kids to transgenderism, it inevitably comes down to who you're sleeping with and how physically you are sleeping with them?
So we're going to start with talking about one Disney executive, and there's going to be another. But the first Disney executive just got caught, I guess you could say, on a Zoom call that was a company-wide Zoom call, and some of what she said, Carrie Burke, who's the president of Disney's General Entertainment Content, she said on the call, company-wide, basically that, she's a mom of 2 queer kids, and she wants more representation, I guess, in all of the Disney movies and in programming. So obviously, we're just going to up the ante.
I'm here as a mother of 2 queer children, actually, one transgender child and one pansexual child. We had an open forum last week at 20th where, again, the home of really incredible, groundbreaking LGBTQIA stories over the years, where one of our execs stood up and said, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And I realized, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads.
They don't have enough leads. So obviously what they're going to do is then put queer this and queer that for everything. It doesn't belong there. It makes no sense. But hey, of course we're going to. And the newest or the next, I guess, will be in Lightyear, which is, if you know Toy Story, you have Buzz Lightyear. Well, they're doing like a spin-off to basically Buzz Lightyear's kind of getting his own little storyline. And apparently they're going to have a gay kiss. Oh my, man, that just makes you want to get your kids and just, that's the moral of that story. Apparently now that
based
has
on
to
that
be.
picture, Mike, go back. Did they take one of the main characters and in Toy Story and make him black as well, or is that a different character? I guess we don't know, do we? It's a different character. And so this decision is being made. You saw the woman, a mother of 2 queer kids, one pansexual and one transgender kid. Let me tell you something. There's no way on earth those are your kids. There's no way that your kids were born 2 gay, 1 pansexual, and 1 transgender. No way. That is coaching. That is grooming. Parents grooming their own kids now, fine. This is like when you had these celebrities 10 years ago going off and adopting 8 dozen babies, Madonna and others, adopting all these babies of non-white origins, from China, from Africa, designer babies. Now you've got the grooming of your own babies, right? So congratulations, ma'am, on your wokeness. But there's a reason why, one of your colleagues said, hey, we don't have a lot of gay leagues. And then you recognized we don't. And you want to know why you don't? Because people don't watch them, and people won't pay to watch them. And that's what's going to happen here. And when it happens, and you are plummeting in your revenues, you will come out and say it's because of gay and transphobia. I hope they still fire you for having ruined yet another Disney project.
And you may say, okay, fine, I'm not going to have my kids watch Disney. We're just going to go to the theme parks because we'll be fine. But according to Vivian Ware, who's the diversity and inclusion manager, they're taking care of that too. So they're so proud, again, on that same Zoom call that was released, saying how we can't no longer say, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Take a look at what they do get to say now.
We brought the fireworks back to the Magic Kingdom. We no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We say dreamers of all ages.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dreamers of all ages. Good evening, dreamers of all ages.
See, now here's my issue with that. That's ageist. And you may say, Katie, but they said all ages. Well, yes, but they also said boys and girls, and that covers all 2 genders, and yet we can't say that. We have to change it because we must respect the woke. And we're not done, because there's yet one more exec, another one, who's so proud of herself, or himself, or I don't know what he identifies as, but it's a female. And so she's all about how she adds queerness and advances that gay agenda.
All that momentum that I felt, that sense of I don't have to be afraid to let's have these 2 characters kiss. Let's in the background. I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud of them. But I just was no one would stop me.
So yes, exactly. A little bit spastic there, madam. And the only point of this, it wasn't relevant to the storytelling. You didn't bother to consider whether it was appropriate or tasteful. You were just throwing queerness at everything you could throw it at, right? So again, you have your job for what reason? What do you bring, ma'am, to with your diversity degree? What do you bring to the world of intellectual and artistic storytelling for children if your only reaction is to throw people who look and act like you at every aspect of what your job is? This is a big-time entertainment company deciding now that entertainment, for us, particularly of little children, is less important than you scolding them, their parents, and everybody else about how it will be. And I really hope, it's probably too much to hope, but I will walk to Florida just to shake the hand of Ron DeSantis if he cuts the sweetheart deal that the state of Florida, tax-wise, has given Disney, okay? You want to poison our children. And here's the thing that is so frustrating. A majority of Democrats also also agree with DeSantis. A majority of Democrats in Florida think that DeSantis is doing the right thing. A majority of Democrats across the country agree with what DeSantis is doing. It's not a huge majority, but it is. And huge majorities of Republicans. The vast majority of this country thinks protecting our little kids from sexuality is a good thing. And Disney doesn't. It's time to make Disney the enemy that it is.
With all the censorship taking place on social media platforms, we've made it easy to keep up with your favorite content. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app in your app store. Get access to 18 new videos a week, plus thousands of archived shows, lecture series, and educational animations. Download the Freedom Project Media app on your Apple TV, Roku, tablet, or phone, and make sure you allow for notifications to keep you informed.
The woke scolds over at Disney have had their say, but what about the general public and what about our politicians? So now let's hear from them, starting with one representative, Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas, who he made some comments this past week on Twitter saying, what would Walt Disney basically think about all of that's happening? And he pointed out that Walt was likely rolling over in his grave at the clowns running his company. And he also made that little point about, how Disney's a charter member of the Chinese Communist Party, and Disney publicly thanked the Chinese Communist Party, and, all those concentration camps they're running. But I don't think we can talk about that, right? We're not allowed to talk about that, except we will, because Governor Ron DeSantis of that state of Florida, which has Disney World in it, also made that very same kind of allusion to what's happening over in China and the connection with Disney. Take a look.
So I don't understand why an entertainment company that makes animated movies gets to control legislation in your state.
Well, and especially, Tucker, you got to wonder, why is the hill to die on to have transgenderism injected into kindergarten classrooms or woke gender ideology injected into second grade classroom? Why is that the hill to die on? Meanwhile, if we had done a bill that prohibited talking about the abuse of Uyghurs in China, Disney would have supported that legislation because they don't want to say a word about that. So it's just an odd manifestation of their corporate values that they actually do Disney cruises, Tucker, to the nation of Dominica, which criminalizes homosexuality. So they're fine doing that and lining their pockets. They're fine lining their pockets from the CCP and all the atrocities that go on there. But it's those kindergartners in Florida that they really want to have transgenderism as part of their core curriculum in school.
Boom.
Mic drop.
Nailed it. But it wasn't even Ron DeSantis, and it wasn't just Tom Cotton. There were moms and dads, everyday parents out there now who are saying, you know what, if this is what Disney is, I guess, as Ron DeSantis said, this is the hill they're going to die on, they will die on this hill, because moms and dads are the ones who have the buying power, and they're turning Disney off, they're unplugging, they're not going to the parks. We'll see if that actually holds up. But for now, we do have a couple moms who are saying, this is ridiculous. Let's take a look at one mom.
Yeah, Disney's making a huge mistake. They're opposing parents who are their core consumers with their opposition to this Florida law. And it's ironic that the law is pejoratively called Don't Say Gay when the reality of our current moment is Don't Say Girl. The video of their internal meetings were so creepy. They showed people committed to remaking our society in a leftist image. This isn't difficult. Leave the kids alone. They shouldn't be indoctrinated by Mickey Mouse. Let them be kids. Disney used to understand that.
Yeah, and before we go on to the next mom, I think that's a really brilliant observation. We are fussing over at the highest levels of government. We have the next Supreme Court justice who does not and will not define the word mother, period. And that doesn't seem to bother Disney in the least. That's perfectly okay. Yet we will make sure that we are defining transgenderism to 5-year-olds, or that's the hill they're going to die on.
So this other mom we have, her name's Kristen Hawkins. She's a mom, a podcaster, a president of Students for Life of America. I like what she said because she puts a little of that Disney magic into her response. She wrote an op-ed actually about this entire situation. She said, upon watching its newest movie with Pixar entitled Turning Red, which I don't recommend watching, it's clear that the clock has finally struck midnight for Disney's era of whimsical fairy tales with moral lessons. Gone are the innocent days of bibbidi-boppidi-boo. Disney has now transformed into a political propaganda machine that grooms children for abortions and sexual promiscuity. And nothing showcases their regression into a progressive pumpkin better than their new movie. Sexualized content seems to be the new pixie dust at Disney, sprinkled liberally. Whatever Disney's future might be, it's a sad reality that the company is losing its credibility through movies like Turning Red. For parents who proactively monitor what their child is viewing, it's likely time to say goodbye to today's Disney if you want to protect your children from the grooming tactics of the left. We're not dealing with Mickey Mouse anymore.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on all items at MyPillow.com when you use the code Dr. Duke. That's DRDUKE. Support this show by supporting a great American company.
So mom and dad, you're at home right now. You're thinking, well, what the heck are my options? What can I do? I want my child to have some entertainment and I want some of my sanity back. Well, you can either watch the old Disney, which I recommend because there's good moral lessons in it, and hey, it brings back memories, at least of my childhood. But you can also stay tuned to what the Daily Wire is coming out with. Now, Daily Wire's co-CEO Jeremy Boring recently, last week, held a town hall to announce a $100 million investment into what they're calling Daily Wire Kids, or DW Kids. And other CEO there, Ben Shapiro, as you may know, he's the one who announced it on his show as well to explain it a little bit better.
People like you, parents who are listening to this program, that you are not willing to risk your kids and their future and the way that they think about the most important issues in life simply because Disney has a license to use Star Wars. Because it's one thing to say that you're going to temporarily pull your dollars from Disney or that you're going to pull your dollars from a particular Disney movie. It's another thing to start building alternatives, places where you know that your values won't be pissed and spit upon, places where you know that the left is not going to prey upon your children. And that's what we're intending on building here at Daily Wire. Disney spends $25 billion a year on exactly the kind of programming that they claim they are going to use as a political weapon against you and your children. Okay, we are committing $100 million over the next 3 years.
Now, Ben also went on to say that they actually hired the VeggieTales writers for their very first 2 shows. And the first show is called Achilla Time. It's actually a story about homeschool chinchillas. That sounds pretty exciting. And this second show is called Doodles with Noodles. And it'll be a man and a puppet giving drawing lessons. So I look forward to watching Achilla Time and Doodles with Noodles, because I can't draw very well, and I could use some drawing lessons. Jeremy Boring also said, though, that Americans are tired of giving their money to woke corporations who seem to hate them. They're tired of giving their money to woke media companies who subvert the truth and try to silence them. And they're tired of giving their money to woke entertainment companies like Disney who have not-so-secret gay agendas and want to add queerness into content for little children. The problem is Americans haven't had a lot of alternatives. And boom, now Daily Wire is coming out with these alternatives.
And as Boring said, we're asking people to purchase a product that they actually want to see, which means it has to be entertainment first. And in that vein, don't forget, Disney also is the parent company of ESPN. You may remember a few weeks ago that when they had a moment of silence because of the horror of Ron DeSantis's move to keep sexuality out of little kids' classrooms. A moment of silence to mourn. No moment of silence has yet been held at ESPN for all those Uyghurs being tortured, exploited, and even killed and raped. Not one. Not ever. The mouse ain't interested.
Hello, everyone. I'm David Fiorazzo. Before we go, I want to take a little time to fill you in on just a couple stories we've been talking about around the office here. Let's start in Alaska, where, according to fake news, Sarah Palin once said she could only see Russia from her house, but she's back in the news and may be seeing our nation's capital again. That's right. The former Republican governor of Alaska and VP candidate that actually made the ticket competitive in 2008 for the late John McCain is setting her sights on Congress. Palin has announced her intention to run for the late Representative Don Young's congressional seat. Young died last month at the age of 88. So Palin is making her political comeback, but she's entering a crowded field of more than 50 candidates now vying to be the next sole representative in the U.S. House for the state of Alaska. Speaking of Washington, let's pivot to a different kind of story, as the nation's spin master-in-chief has decided to call it quits and circle back to her roots. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is reportedly set to leave her post in May for somewhat greener pastures at MSNBC. Sources say Psaki will host a show on NBC Universal's streaming platform, Peacock, and join MSNBC as a pundit for political commentary during live cable news shows. Prior to joining the White House, Jen Psaki was a political contributor for another fake news outlet, CNN, which, believe it or not, I think it's still on the air today, from what I understand. But anyway, finally, a story that Duke and Katie are desperate to comment on. Dyson has unveiled a brand new pair of noise-canceling headphones that also, get this, include air purification technology that provides clean air while in use. Now, this is actually a real thing. According to the company, the Dyson Zone is a wearable device with a 2-stage purification system capable of filtering city fumes and pollutants while listening to premium audio on noise-canceling headphones. Well, I wish someone would come up with lie-canceling or lie-detecting headphones that alert you when someone is bloviating, but the face masking is interesting. It does bear a striking resemblance to Bane from Batman. So Duke and Katie, I want to bring you in. Should we put in our orders now?
Well, that was my point. It looks exactly like the mask, and I didn't think it looked like Bane. I think it looks like the mask that we've been wearing on our faces for the last 2 years. It's almost like they figured out that there's a lot of screwy leftists who miss that look, and they're marketing to them.
Well, it's a perfect representation of what you would already have over there in Asia and China. I'm sure these are going to sell like hotcakes over there. I personally will not be purchasing one.
Can you say Dyson sucks? Gets it? Get it?
What's that? Oh.
Suction? Never mind.
Yeah.
All right, as we wrap things up, let's show some love to our Patriot Club members. And today we would like to give a shout out to Robin from Southgate, Michigan. Robin, thank you very much for supporting us.
For David, Katie, and me, until next time, stay educated, my friends.